Hi, I'm Dr. Wordperson, and today I'm going to talk about the controversy, the fraternal feud that has been ripping YouTube apart, rending nerdfighteria asunder. Which of the two Vlogbrothers, author John Green or author Hank Green, has the longer vocal tract? Yes, my friends, using nothing more than YouTube videos, some free downloadable software, basic algebra, and a smidgen of linguistics, we can calculate the length of someone's vocal tract from their lips to their vocal cords. And while we're at it, I'm going to teach you the foundations of acoustic phonetics. Alright, so what even is going on here? Well, physics! We can model someone's vocal tract as a tube of vibrating air, one that is closed on one end and open on the other. The end that's open is at your mouth, and the end that's closed is at your vocal cords. Yes, I know, there is an opening there, it's called your glottis, but it's so small relative to your mouth that we can effectively ignore it. Next, we must deal with the fact that when we talk, various fleshy bits go flapping up against various surfaces, and this is generally not a very uniform tube to model. We get around this problem by choosing a neutral vowel. For most people, it's somewhere between and a, where your tongue position is such that your vocal tract has a nearly uniform cross-sectional shape. You can tell you have the right one when the formants in the vowel are equally spaced. Like this. Ah yes, formants. Remember our tube analogy? Well, a tube has a resonant frequency when it comes to sound waves. It amplifies some frequencies and damps others. I mean, you can tell when I talk into the tube, it does not sound like my normal voice. Doo, doo. And which frequencies get amplified and which get damped depends on the length of the tube. Let's think a bit about what's happening with the sound waves in the tube. For the closed end, there is an obstruction at one end of the tube for sound waves to reflect off of. For the open end, there is a big immovable mass of air that the sound waves bounce off of when they try to exit the tube. The incoming and outgoing sound waves then interfere with each other, and the right frequencies, given the length of the tube, get amplified, and the wrong frequencies get damped. And that's basically what we're seeing here in the sound spectrogram. The x-axis indicates time as I say the word spectrogram, and the y-axis indicates frequency. These light and dark areas indicate how much sound energy is being concentrated at a particular frequency. Very dark means loss of energy, which means that frequency is being amplified, and light means that frequency is being damped because there isn't a whole lot of sound energy there. These big dark areas that show a ton of sound energy is being concentrated there, like here and here, are called formants. Now, remember how I said how which frequencies get amplified and which get damped depend on the length of the tube? And now, from the sound spectrogram, we can actually see and measure what those frequencies are. So from mathing it out, with these two facts in mind, we can calculate the length of the tube. Let's go measure Hank and John's vowels. So the software I'm going to use for this is something called Praat. It is basically the same software that phoneticians everywhere use. It is free and available online, and I've put the link for it in the doobly-doo. The audio comes from Vlogbrothers videos that I just recorded into Praat. First up, we have Hank. So I recorded Hank saying the word about because I was originally going for the schwa in the first syllable, but it turned out that the in the second syllable had more evenly spaced formants, so I went with that. I measured the third formant because it is less affected by tongue position than the first and second formants. Formants are measured from the bottom up, so F1 has the lowest resonant frequency, then F2, then F3, and so on. The frequency of Hank's F3 is 2,644 Hertz. Now, let's move on to John. About worked pretty well the first time, so I recorded it again, and once again, had more evenly spaced formants, so I measured John's F3 there. John's F3 is 2454 Hertz. Can you feel the tension build? Also, fun fact. Have you been wondering what these big vertical striations are? They are actually individual instances of John's vocal cords opening and then slapping shut again as they vibrate. Dark, open, light, shut. Dark, open, light, shut. You can actually blow air through your vocal cords in a way that you can hear these instead of just seeing them in the sound spectrogram. But I digress. Now it is time to break out the math. The formula for formant frequencies in a tube of uniform diameter that is closed on one end and open on the other is f sub n equals 2n minus 1c over 4l, where f sub n equals the formant frequency in hertz, n is the number of the formant in question, first formant, second formant, etc. C is the speed of sound in the air in your vocal tract, around 35,000 centimeters a second, and L is the length of your vocal tract in centimeters. Rearrange for L, and you get L equals 2n minus 1c over 4f sub n. Now it is time for the moment of truth! Plug in the numbers and what do we get? Hank has a vocal tract length of 16.55 centimeters, and John has a vocal tract length of 17.83 centimeters. John wins! Just like his favorite sports team, AFC Wimbledon. We hope. Sorry, Hank. Lurfish. Now, okay, let's put this in perspective. If you go out and take multiple measurements, you'll actually notice that there's a lot of variability. I mean, who would have thought it would have been difficult to get the ideal tube of physics out of this squishy meat thing we have going on in our heads? Especially given that some aspects of speech take advantage of the fact that we can change the length of our vocal tract, like changing pitch or ejectives and implosives. But whatever. The purpose of the episode was to have a fun time teaching you the basis of acoustic phonetics. In other words, ever-changing sound physics in a squishy meat tube. Isn't that right, Ms. Hanklerfish? Alright, that was the show. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment. And come back in 2 weeks for another fun linguistics episode. And don't forget to be awesome!